I'm retired Army, so I retired in 2014, and I was a lawyer for most of my Army career too. So I did a lot of criminal law, I did prosecution and defense work. I specialized in sexual assault and child victim crimes. I also did what we call operational law, so advising commanders in combat or other operational situations, what they can and can't do legally. I also spent my last few years in the military was at Northcom, Northern Command, NORAD and Northern Command, and I worked with National Guard when there was a disaster, like all the hurricanes that we've had recently. I would go to those locations and advise on what kind of assistance the federal troops could provide and what they couldn't, because there are a lot of restrictions on what federal troops can do here in the United States. So all of that was as a lawyer. I first entered the military as an enlisted soldier, a Russian linguist. So it was back when the first Cold War was on. And I studied Russian for a year at the Defense Languages Institute. And from there, I went to West Point Prep School, which is West Point Prep School takes enlisted members and kind of preps you to go to the service academy. So then I went to West Point, graduated from West Point. Out of West Point, I was a quartermaster officer, which is supply and logistics. I did that for about 3 years before I went to law school. Well, I've practiced family law for the past several years, a lot of custody, complex custody issues. Lately I've been gearing my practice more toward dispute resolution, so mediation, arbitration, and I'm also doing some custody evaluations. So the child family investigations is what we call one of the custody evaluations I do. There's also child's legal representative, so I'd be appointed as an attorney to represent the best interests of a child in a court case. I do love what I do, so I love the practice of law. I love family law because we're helping families who are going through, frankly, what's most often the worst part of their lives, or one of the worst times in their lives that they've experienced, the most stressful and sad. I like being able to try to help them through that. I like kind of helping people think through maybe past the immediate stress and anger, and try to help them think forward to what would you like to see yourself doing, what situation would you like to be in a few years when hopefully a lot of the anger has passed and you're ready to move on. What kind of life do you want your children to have in a few years? Because thinking out like that can help you kind of get past the raw emotion you're feeling now, which can lead to some pretty bad decisions if that's all you're thinking about.